Beloved Guru Raj, what is the difference between a human life and a godly life? What can be done with a human life to make it less problematic?
To make it less what?
To make it less problematic.
Problematic. Ah. So you think human life is problematic, is it? Why is it problematic? The reason why you find human life to be problematic is because you create a distinction in your mind that human life is apart from divine life. The day when man realizes that human life is none other than God life, there would be no problems at all. Problems only come about because your mind tells you all the time, because of previous patternings, that my life is human and insignificant and of no value, while that which has value is the divine life. Now that is the greatest fallacy perpetrated upon man by all kinds of theologies throughout the ages and throughout the world. If theology had not become a business and had to start with the central principle that man, you are divine, and would have trained you over these thousands of years that have passed, that man, you are divine, your problems would have not been there. So what are you? You are nothing but a puppet. And the strings are pulled by the people in power. And if they don't pull strings, they would not have the business that they are conducting. I was saying in some satsang not so long ago, somewhere in America, I think, that the two greatest businesses and the richest companies in the world is the church and the insurance company. The church promises you heaven and salvation after you are dead, and the insurance company promises you a lump sum of money after you are dead. But don't you see that life with all its beauty itself is divine? Since you woke up this morning, how many hundreds of things haven't you seen around you? And tell me very honestly that out of the hundreds of things you have seen around you, from the time you woke up this morning till now, has your mind ever been led by itself to that which is divine? No. You haven't. You've only viewed life according to your own personal perception. And being so channeled and so limited, your perception and conception of everything around you had only what you regard to be of human value, a human life. Yet, just a slight little depth in the mind that you function with, you will see that human life is not a part of divine life. That you are divine. Everything you perceive is divine, and the very organs of perception is divine itself, for the object of perception and the subject of perception and the act of perceiving, they're all but the same. Without the subject, the object cannot exist. Without the act of perceiving, the subject and the object has no existence. So, life itself is divine. Life is divine, and when we talk of free will and divine will, we create distinctions again and again and again. There is only one will. And that will combines what you would regard as free will and what you would regard as divine will. For what is your free will actually? You think you're free? Really free? You are not free. You're in total bondage. There's not a single part of your body or your thought that you can really control. And you say, I got free will. Your heart beats away. The blood circulates in your system. All the billions of cells are operating to keep this body together and functionable. How much of it are you controlling? And what right do you have then to say, I have free will? Within a certain context, you can say, I have free will. I'll walk down the 3 flights of stairs, or I shall take the elevator. That's as far as it goes. In total mundaneness. But now you tell me, what made you decide to take the stairway or the elevator? What element has been functioning there that made you decide the stairway or the elevator? Is it a power which is beyond yourself, or is it a power that is within yourself? That power is within yourself, functioning all the time through the superconscious level of your mind. All the time. And you are just being deluded by yourself, for yourself, that I am functioning with free will. Because bondage thinks it is free. And when bondage thinks that it is free, who is the thinker? Someone that is bound. So how can you even think that you are free when someone that's... And we say life is continuous. The continuity person is a person in movie making that follows up every sequence. Now I've got to get back to the exact expression I had on my face when I said the last sentence. There's no problem. Life is no problem at all. We think it is problematic, but life is not problematic, and it only can become problematic if we think it is problematic. And what right have you got to say life is problematic? Who is judging life's problems? You are judging life's problem. And when you say, I am judging life's problems, which part of me is doing the judgment. Hmm? The higher level of your mind? No. Because at that superconscious level, there's no problem. Hmm? It is the conscious level of your little mind, and even Einstein could only use 8% of the mind. I think it was a bit less. People like to exaggerate. Huh? Only that little percentage is analyzing your entire lifestyle, bringing in the discrimination between a life of divinity and a life of humanity. And then, because of this very dualistic approach, one finds problems. So what do we do to get rid of problems? We go to the approach, we go to a monistic approach. That I and my Father are one. We use that approach in every situation, and what will result by using that approach in any given situation would be this, that I am not the doer. He is the doer. And if he is the doer, who the hell am I to complain about it? Because your very complaint is the problem. If you had no complaint, there would be no problem. So, we give it all to that divine will, that you, old chap, are the doer, and don't you damn well blame me. Because you control every movement of mine. Because without you and your energy, I cannot even lift up a hand. That's right. So, that will bring us to acceptance of the situation we are placed in. When we accept the situation we are placed in, automatically we are surrendering. We are surrendering not only ourselves, but also surrendering what the mind thought was a problem. And once you surrender the problem, how can there be any problem left? You've thrown it out of the window. All right. So, I am not the doer. He is the doer. Because he is the doer, I accept the circumstance I am in. Because I accept the circumstance that I am in, I surrender myself to the circumstance. You don't need to surrender yourself to God if you don't believe in one. Just surrender yourself to the circumstance. So acceptance and surrender go hand in hand. And when they go walk hand in hand, there comes about a sacrifice. Not a sacrifice of your individuality, but the sacrifice of the sense of individuality. And the sense of individuality in this instance would mean that divine life and human life has merged into one. Now, when divine life and human life merges into oneness, what can exist? without sacrificing individuality. What can exist is you, the real you, in which divinity is merged. You don't go and merge into divinity. You wouldn't know where to find him in the first place. But create the circumstance where he merges into you. And that's why I've said so many times over and over again, take one step towards God and he takes 10 steps towards. That's it. He is the one that is forever seeking you. And you bluff yourself by saying, I am seeking God. You're not. You can only water the plant, but you cannot make the plant grow. So you do your bit. Water the garden, that's all. And leave it all to divine will. Was what do you water the garden of life? It was very little, really. It's very little. You don't need the whole ocean to water that little garden patch which you call your little life. Couple of buckets of love. So, that's all. Love filled with sincerity, love filled with honesty. A feeling when you look into your beloved's eyes, you melt away. And you really feel that deep love. And this very feeling has nothing to do with emotionalism. This feeling must become yourself, the totality of yourself, which does not create a feeling, but you become the feeling. Yes. But what do you feel? You feel love. And it's so easy. That is why true spiritual masters are there. Their buckets, which they give you, have holes that are plugged. And they say, fill the bucket. And after you fill the bucket, just take out those few corks or whatever you call it in this country. Those plugs, that's all. And you just walk around the garden, holding the bucket in your hand. And it becomes lighter and lighter. No weight is felt as it becomes lighter. And your garden is watered. So what does this mean? Does this mean you do not force yourself to love, but love becomes life itself? Love can never be forced. That is presumptuous. It just flows by itself. Just unplug and let the water pour out, and you just walk around admiring the flowers of life. And when you really learn to admire the flowers of life, then you will find that there is no difference between divine life and this life. And when you find that, you will say to yourself that I exist. I would challenge Descartes anytime when he said, I think, therefore I exist. No, that is totally wrong. I exist, and therefore I think. And most of the time, I'm thinking rubbish. Parenthesis. I am thinking rubbish 99.9% of the time because I'm separating myself from my Father, where there's no separation at all. I come from his sperm and I'm still part and parcel of the same sperm. I'm not separate from my Father. So, when we start thinking, and that is the tool we have, apart from other tools that do other things that require no thinking, but with the thinking tool we have, we can get... Why are you smiling? But that thinking tool we have, we can use it usefully. So instead of thinking that I am apart from divinity, use the same thought to say that I am one with it. No extra energy is required. That very thought will unpattern all the previous patternings in your mind. When you feel with that deep intensity and become that feeling yourself, that I and my Father are one, you will view life from an entirely different perspective. The first things that will happen is this, that you will rid yourself of anxiety. You will rid yourself of insecurity. You will rid yourself of a feeling of inadequacy. And the greatest thing that you will gain is a total, natural, spontaneous flow. You just need an F to change that low into flow. Just an F. F. It's all you need. So stop this nonsense fooling around with other kinds of Fs and buggering up the mind. Add the F to the low and flow. You don't even need to grow. You're fully developed inside you as you are. You just need to unfold. And unfolding means be naked. Throw away all the fancy trappings of the mind and be in the presence of the Father. Totally naked. In other words, it means that you have nothing to hide. Every part of you is divine. And to approach divinity, when you are still in a dualistic frame of mind, it will make it much easier for you to know that I am naked, but not inhibited. And in all my nakedness, which means sincerity and honesty, I'm in the presence of my Father. It's beautiful to be naked, really. There was a nudist party, and the editor of the local newspaper got an invitation to become himself or send a reporter to the party. They were having an annual dinner. So the editor thought, pardon, the editor thought this could make a good story perhaps. So he sent a cub reporter. Let's just go and see what all this is about. So next morning when the cub reporter walked in, the editor asked, how was it? So he says, oh, boss, it was exciting. It's nice. Everyone there was naked. He says, even the butler was naked. So the editor asked, how did you know it was the butler? Because the only way you can know if it's a butler or not is because the way he dresses. And, from the butler's, clothes, you could say, this is a butler. So he says, well, one thing is sure, I knew definitely it was not the maid. You see, this reporter was flowing quite well. Dear me. Good. And so, there is no difference between human life and a godly life. Invite him into your human life, and you see immediately your life will be transformed. Your life will be transformed so much that you would even forget human life. That every breath you take, I talk from personal experience, that every breath you take, you feel as if that you lose the consciousness that you are breathing. You lose the consciousness that you are breathing because a higher consciousness exists. And that very breath, every breath seems to you as if he is breathing. And that is self-realization. That is finding yourself. That is, man, know thyself. And that is the answer to the world's greatest question. Who am I? And this question can never be answered with rationalization or using the intellect. It can only be realized. The answer can only be realized. The mind will ask, who am I? And that inner self will reply, I am he. That is self-realization. That is a total integration of your personality. Mind, body, and spirit knows no difference or differentiation anymore. It becomes one. To the extent that which you call you becomes one with the all. And when you become one with the all, how far away are you from divinity? Not far away at all. All dualism goes away and you become divine. When you become divine and have that realization, life does not remain problematic. Actually, there are no problems at all, but your mind bluffs you into thinking thinking that there is a problem. For in every adversity, there is a wonderful opportunity. As a matter of fact, there is nothing adverse at all. Everything is opportune into with all existence. It's so simple. So simple. Just a redirection of one's attention. You just put you and before the problem. Problems disappear in the attic. That's where they belong. Not while you're living and breathing, smiling and enjoying life. For that is your true nature. And that's the truth. That is the line. And that is the life. Okay, I know many of you have been traveling long distances. I will tax your brain too much tonight. Tomorrow I think we'll tax it. Yeah.